Have you ever wondered how the delicate balance of power in the Middle East affects the world? Today we delve into the recent events of the Israel war. To fully grasp the present, we must first venture into the past, to the roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict. This century-old clash stems from competing nationalisms, with both sides laying claim to the same geographical area, leading to a series of violent confrontations and wars. The recent events that led up to the war are as complex as the conflict itself. Israel, traditionally maintaining strict neutrality in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, has seen a shift in its policy. This change can be traced back to the return of Benjamin Netanyahu to office post the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A once close relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin has cooled, with Netanyahu becoming less friendly towards Putin and reconsidering Israel's stance on the Ukraine war. The reasons for this shift are multifaceted, including Russia diluting its forces in Syria and the opportunity for Israel to test its defense systems against Iranian weapons by supplying them to Ukraine. The role of other nations in this conflict cannot be overlooked. The United States, being Israel's chief strategic ally, has always played a significant part in the region. The recent shift in Israel's policy towards Ukraine could be seen as an attempt to curry favor with Washington. Meanwhile, Iran, a major player in the region, maintains a complex relationship with Israel, especially considering its increased military ties with Russia amid the Ukraine war. However, the impact of the war extends beyond political alliances and military strategies. The humanitarian aspect is equally significant. Despite pressure, Israel has refrained from sending lethal aid to Ukraine, focusing instead on providing humanitarian aid. This decision, shaped by Israel's complicated relationship with Russia and its large Russian and Ukrainian community, showcases the intricate web of considerations that come into play during times of war. Understanding the background sets the stage for the events that unfolded during the war. Now that we have the context, let's move on to the chronological events of the war. The complex conflict that we see today didn't just happen overnight. It's a succession of events, a chronology of chaos that has led us to where we are now. The initial spark of conflict ignited long ago, fueled by decades of political, religious, and territorial disputes. In the face of these tensions, the two sides have been locked in a seemingly unending cycle of violence and retaliation. In the beginning, the conflict was largely characterized by small skirmishes and protests, but it quickly escalated into full-blown warfare. Each side launched attacks, aiming to weaken the other's military capabilities and resolve. The situation intensified rapidly, with each act of aggression only serving to stoke the flames of animosity further. The turning points in this war were numerous and significant. Each one marked a shift in the dynamic of the conflict, bringing about new realities for the civilians and the international community. From the bombing of key infrastructure to the assassination of high-ranking officials, these events sent shockwaves around the globe, provoking a variety of responses from condemnation to calls for peace. The impact on civilians was nothing short of devastating. Homes were destroyed, families were torn apart, and countless lives were lost. The international community watched in horror as the war brought about a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. The world responded with a mixture of outrage, sympathy, and calls for immediate action. Throughout this tumultuous period, the international community played a pivotal role in mediating the conflict. A series of peace talks, ceasefires, and diplomatic efforts were undertaken in a bid to quell the violence and foster a climate conducive to resolving the underlying issues. However, the path to peace was fraught with obstacles, and each attempt was met with varying degrees of success. Eventually, a ceasefire was reached, marking the end of active warfare. But the cessation of hostilities did not mean the end of the conflict. The deep-seated issues that fueled the war still remain, casting a long shadow over the prospect of lasting peace. The war was a series of unfortunate events that brought about unprecedented changes. Wars leave behind more than just destruction. They leave behind lessons, changes in policies, and a new world order. In the aftermath of the war, the global landscape was marked by a shift in alliances and a re-evaluation of policies. Israel, once maintaining a strict neutrality in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, found itself reassessing its stance. The reasons for this shift were many, including Russia diluting its forces in Syria and the opportunity for Israel to assess the effectiveness of their defense systems against Iranian weapons. This war also illuminated the intricate interplay of international relationships, Israel's complex connection with Russia, its cooperation in Syria, and the need to protect its large Russian and Ukrainian communities shaped its response to the Ukraine war. The nation chose not to send weapons, but instead focused on providing humanitarian aid, a decision that echoed the actions of other close partners of the US, like South Korea and India. The conflict also brought to light Israel's ongoing struggle against another adversary, the unvaccinated. As the nation races to become the world's first fully inoculated country, it wages a war on misinformation and vaccine hesitancy, revealing yet another layer of complexity in the nation's challenges. These events underscore the far-reaching implications of conflicts, extending beyond the immediate destruction and chaos. They alter political landscapes, reshape alliances, and force nations to reassess their policies and strategies. As we reflect on the Israel war, we are reminded of the ripple effects of conflicts and the importance of striving for peace.